Using the power and appeal of the arts to boost low-performing schools. Arts frequently get cut from school curricula due to money and time.
Students who participate in the arts have a higher GPA and a higher SAT score.
Worth, as you've just said, 84 billion a year to the economy. It employs 3 million people. It's a great driver of social and economic regeneration to the country. It's the fastest growing sector of the economy.
Creativity matters. Art teaches it so that we can maintain the creative skills we all had.
Now, it's no secret that in recent years funding has been cut to the creative arts in schools, but is this necessarily a bad thing? We interviewed multiple teachers and students at a local school in order to gauge their opinion and see what they felt was important or not important about the creative arts.
From all them uncreative
If you want to study film studies, go to the cinema, not school.
The success of our endeavour, well, that's just another question.
Well, I'm not. This is your professional setup.
We filmed a full and really fantastic interview with a chemistry teacher. However, I then walked out of the room and realised I hadn't turned the microphone on.
Why does your face look like you're lying?
We started off by asking teachers why they felt that their subjects were important.
Are you ready?
Yes. Okay. Ready when you are.
Why do you think humanities are important?
I think humanities are important because we, as a faculty, are trying to create citizens for the 21st century. So we want citizens who are going to go out into the world of work and society and be tolerant people, but be educated about the world in which they live in, and to be able to embrace diversity and understand religion and culture and society as it is in this country, because it clearly is very diverse and very multicultural. And we want students to be able to learn, throughout their time here in humanities, that that multiculturalism, that diversity should be celebrated, and we should all sort of be actively engaged in it as citizens.
Do you think the creative arts are important?
It's completely different to all the other subjects, and you get some people in film studies who aren't doing well in maths and maybe have got a bad reputation around the school, but in film, like, they really get it and they try hard, and they can. You can get students who are struggling in every other subject but get an 8 or a 9 in film.
Why do you think languages are important?
As a language teacher, I've found the value in knowing different languages as I've travelled in the world and obviously at work now. But I think in a general sense, everybody benefits from learning a language. It helps you learn your own language a lot better, in a lot more depth. And it opens up your eyes to kind of different cultures, different parts of the world that maybe you wouldn't have come across before. So from an educational point of view, in terms of learning your own language, but also culturally, and being more aware of what else is in the world.
Then we asked them the same question about creative arts.
Do you think the creative arts are important?
Absolutely. I think any form of art in school or even outside of school is crucial in terms of students' development. Whether we think that students are good at it or not, they should all be exposed to it. They should all learn about what creativity is about, because everyone has some form of creativity within them. Maybe by being exposed to that again in school, they have the opportunity to sort of develop that and see where their talents might lie. But even if they don't have amazing talents in it, they should still be given the opportunity to sort of explore that and develop that to as far as they possibly can do.
Do you think they should cut funding for creative arts?
No, of course not. In education, we've seen a lot of narrowing of the curriculum to chase league tables and results. But I moved to this school just over a year ago, really, because I was drawn to the fact that it is such a broad curriculum here. I came from a school which had squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed the curriculum, so music, art, and a lot of the other option subjects that we have here outside of the core just simply weren't available to students, and they were literally studying English, maths, science, and maybe one other subject. So yeah, funding needs to remain for all of those areas, and we need to have that broad curriculum, absolutely.
What do you think? What is the curriculum for film studies? What do you think you do in film?
Well, clearly you're making a documentary, so the whole process of, I think, probably understanding how film is constructed, from the sort of the beginning phase of coming up with an idea all the way through to actually obviously filming it, editing it and producing it, is obviously something that you learn about, but maybe you learn about film's role, you know, in the wider sort of aspect of society, and how it can influence, or how film has been influenced by you know, society, but also how film can influence, you know, how people think, and obviously live their lives.
That's great, thank you.
Right,
Okay.
thank you very much. Yeah, cheers. That should do. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you believe your subject is more important than creative and expressive arts, such as music and drama?
Well, I'm a scientist and I have this horrible opinion that my subject is more important than every other subject. But when I actually think about it, I think my subject explains why we're alive and how we're alive, whereas creative and expressive arts kind of give us a reason, one of the reasons to be alive, to enjoy being alive. So I don't know, it's a tricky one, that. My initial instinct is yes, but then when I think about it, I think that actually, you know, creative and expressive arts are more important than I would initially give them credit for, as a, you know, a scientist who thinks his subject is the best.
I don't think any subject is more important than any other. I think everything has a place in education for different reasons. I think we need to create students that are well-rounded. We don't know what sort of jobs or careers people are going to go into, so we need to give them an opportunity to learn lots of different things.
What do you think you do in A-level theatre studies?
Make videos. No, I think you probably study performance and plays and structures of plays and language of plays and things like that, but also all the technical side of things, I imagine, as well. I don't know very much about it.
Do you think there should be a cut in the funding of creative arts?
No. As I said before, with all the subjects, I think you need to have a broad curriculum with lots of different things in it, and it definitely has a place in education.
That's great, thank you.
What do you think students learn or do in A-level drama?
Right, my experience of drama goes up to about year 8 from what I recall, which I enjoyed. But A-level drama, I assume you do performance skills, like how to act. I'd assume that you would study various texts or productions or something like that and look at how the professionals do it. And maybe things like lighting and the actual technical aspect to maybe putting on performances potentially, amongst other things, I'm sure. So.
Do you believe the creative arts are important?
Well, I think as I touched on in the first question, yes, they are important because, you know, we all enjoy music, we enjoy film, people enjoy theatre, you know, productions, and, you know, it's lovely to be out. You know, I absolutely love being out in the countryside and the wilderness and doing my acting and sports and things like that, but I also enjoy the creative arts as well. And, you know, maybe you don't necessarily make the immediate link between what you actually do and then the subject that people learn in school, but without the people learning how to do that, there'd be a lot in life that we wouldn't be there to enjoy. So yes, they're important.
Do you believe there isn't enough funding for creative and expressive arts?
This is something that I'm hazy on, so I don't know exactly about the funding, but I'm aware that there are budget cuts, and because schools are under pressure to get certain performance figures that may or may not include certain subjects, you know, exactly what's included. But I suspect probably not. I suspect they probably aren't. You know, I've got limited experience of it, but I think there'll be far more funding goes into other subjects. And you know, from what I know from the national scene and like news articles, that yes, there's probably a lack of funding.
What's your favourite part about teaching film studies?
I don't know. My favourite part about teaching film studies is the variety of different kids that I get, because I think that a lot of the students who like film studies, it's a subject that is completely different to all the other subjects, and you get some people in film studies who aren't doing well in maths and maybe have got a bad reputation around the school, but in film, like, they really get it and they try hard, and they can, you can get students who are struggling in every other subject but get an 8 or a 9 in film.
Do you enjoy the curriculum you teach, or would you change anything about the curriculum?
In film studies, or just every other subject?
In film studies.
I enjoy the curriculum. I think that there should be more variety in terms of no, I just think there should be more of a choice of focus films.
How do you think people perceive creative arts subjects?
I think that people don't appreciate the arts, and I think that the system is trying to turn school into kind of like a production line of kids, that it's like, they've got the maths and the sciences and the Englishes and one language, which is fine if that's what they want to do, but I just think that the creative arts are kind of being pushed out a little bit, and that is where people develop their personalities and I guess express themselves a bit more. Like, you can be creative in English, but you can't be really much more creative in maths and sciences. And I think that creativity kind of I don't know, maybe helps people show who they are and be a bit more personable.
Can you explain the curriculum for A-level film studies?
The curriculum for A-level film studies is that they will study 14 films. They do 2 like old Hollywood films, 2 new Hollywood films, 2 British films, 2 world cinema films, 1 documentary, 1 expressionist film, and 1 experimental film, which I think is 13. I must be missing 1. Documentary, expressionist. No, that's it. I think 13. And they used to do short films. Sorry, so I think they have to study 80 minutes of short films, and then they got 14 focus films, and then they have to answer 2 exams, which are 2 hours 45 minutes each.
That's great. Thank you. That's all.
Free to go.
Thank you. Yeah,
free to leave the cupboard.
Leave the hostage.
It's quite obvious from when we spoke to teachers that the vast majority of them feel that funding being cut to creative arts subjects is a bad thing. According to The Guardian, 10% of teachers think that cutting funding to creative arts is just another way to cut funding in schools.
We contacted a prominent Conservative MP, the Right Honourable Lee Rowley, MP for North East Derbyshire, which is where the school is based, to ask him how he felt about the current curriculum and specifically the creative and expressive arts. He said that he's in favour of a broad curriculum which allows students to develop skills across the board and find their areas of interest that they might want to pursue further. It is obviously very important for the focus in schools to be on preparing students in the core areas of study, which will equip them ready for the world, but hopefully time can be found for subjects which allow other avenues to be pursued. Getting the balance right isn't always easy, but I understand that the proportion of pupils taking arts subjects at GCSE has increased, so hopefully there is still a good level of provision and opportunity to do so in schools. We then asked the students at the school how they felt on the topic.
Do I have to be serious? Yeah, you know, I'm interview trained. Oh yeah. With athletics, we have to get taught what we're allowed to. Basically, they censor us on what we're allowed to say and not say.
So you get censored about what we're about to ask you?
Depends what you're about to ask me. About to ask me about the drug situation within sport, I'm going to have to give you a very limited answer.
As you'll see, we kept pretty much on topic.
Tell me about the drugs situation in sport.
I am not one to comment on whether people take drugs in sport. However, I know I am clean and I'm willing to do any test to prove it.
Why do you think drama is important?
Well, one thing about drama is when you're acting, you have to understand people. You've got to understand their motivations, what makes them do something. they're passed in a way as well, and just it allows you to appreciate different types of people, I think.
What do you think is the most important subject within school?
The most important. I think at the moment I've probably changed my mind, but psychology, because it teaches you like drama about people, but it's also a science. So you get the whole, you're being factual about it, but also you're understanding different people, and it allows you to learn about yourself as well. I think it gives you greater control of your life and how to help other people in their situations.
Do you think that funding should be cut for creative arts subjects?
No. It's already really low. We don't need it any lower.
Do you think they should be scrapped, or do you think they're important, and why are they important?
I think creative arts are really important because lots of people are interested in them, and it's really important that the curriculum has a diverse range of choices for all students.
What's your favourite thing about drama then? I know you're a drama student. What's your favourite part of drama?
The fantastic community I get to be a part of, Sarah.
Famous. That's great.
That's well cute.
Brilliant.
Should we scrap creative arts?
No!
Exactly.
No, you should not!
Exactly.
That's rubbish. Why? People need to express their opinions through dramatic art.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they do.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
History.
debate.
Is film studies creative?
Yeah.
Film studies, drama, music, art, everything.
That's it.
It's kind of pointless. Do it in your own time.
Do it in your own time.
Yeah, but what if you could do it in your own time and also get qualification from it? Do you think that's a good
How are
thing?
you going to watch TV without actors? How are you going to watch TV without film directors?
They do it in their own time.
No, they don't know. They go to school and get qualifications.
Or go to another school.
What? No.
Go to university.
You go to another school. So you got an issue with it?
What's your favourite part about drama?
Being able to express myself through different characters and different ways, and naturalism and non-naturalism. And also the bond you have with both teachers and student, it's different to every other class. It is, it's like a family.
Oh.
It is. It's true though, don't you think?
So, in terms of like creative arts subjects, do you think that funding should be cut to them and would be better allocated elsewhere in the curriculum?
No. I think all subjects have a use, a point, and it's important as an education system to allow people to embrace what makes them unique, what is interesting to them. And therefore, if that does happen to be creative arts subjects, it is not the government's job to then like repress that.
Very interesting point. What do you think actually goes on in, like, let's say, A-level film studies? What do you think the curriculum is?
I'm studying films, various high-quality films, I'm presuming, like the ones that win Oscars and stuff. Learning about cinematography, production, stuff like that. Stuff like this, interviewing random people, creating a film.
What do you think is the most important subject within school?
Maths.
Why?
Because it is the most applicable subject in terms of far-reaching impact on all areas of study. It's relevant across most disciplines, pretty much. Most subjects are a lot more tailored to a point, whereas maths is far-reaching.
I haven't actually done music or drama since year 8 for a reason, because they're for children. It's a form of entertainment, not education. Ouch! Yeah, I'll win.
I'm livid.
Yeah, I'll win.
Livid.
I am fuming. Because we don't want to breed a generation of robots, do we?
Yeah.
You want difference in that.
I'm going to be embarrassed.
Musical creativity and that.
Eyelash.
Or like artists and that. You know, why do people go to college and do makeup? Because that's obviously more important than doing music, which music's academic and that. You can write essays on music. You can. Yes, you can. Of course you can. Of course you can write essays and music.
Genius is for that.
Doing genius is for that.
Drama's shit.
No,
Yes,
drama's
it
not
is.
shit.
Yes,
It's
it is.
cracking.
Yes, it is.
I've got an 8 in GCSE drama, thank you.
It's better than bloody colouring in. Geography.
Fuck off, Sam. Politics. What a load of bollocks.
At least I can keep a subject for more than 2 years.
Wait, do you know Kirk on I'm a Celebrity? He
Yeah.
can't act, and
Why
he
not?
did A-level drama.
Yeah,
And
we're
that
not saying
says
that
a lot.
everyone does A-level drama can act.
Imagine being stuck at Coronation Street.
Yeah. Imagine your job working at Chesterfield Pantomime. That's not very successful, is it?
No.
Like, realistically.
Like, who goes to watch that anymore? Children,
Yeah.
2-year-olds.
Well, I mean, quite a few people. Yeah, you're not really the target audience, if I'm honest. It's not like they've sat down and gone, right, this year we're going to do a pantomime for 17-year-old girls.
Don't need A-level music to be a good singer. Bugsy Malone went to prison, and he's a good artist.
He's not a singer though, is
He
he?
didn't go to school, and he's a good artist.
I suppose. So it's clear to see that on the topic of creative arts, people have many perceptions. Many people perceive it as just acting in drama, watching films in film studies, but we know that creative arts are just a lot more than that.
We did some primary research of our own in order to get an idea of how students felt about the creative and expressive arts and the overall curriculum. We found that 93% of students who didn't take a creative subject didn't want the creative and expressive arts to be taken off the curriculum. However, 78.6% of students say that maths and English are more important subjects. With the industry being responsible for 5.6% of jobs in the UK and worth a whole £77 billion to the UK economy, we shouldn't be cutting funding to creative arts subjects in schools, never mind cutting them from the curriculum altogether.
Using the power and appeal of the arts to boost low-performing schools. Arts frequently get cut from school curricula due to money and time.
Who participate in the arts have a higher GPA and a higher SAT score.
Worth, as you've just said, 84 billion a year to the economy. It employs 3 million people. It's a great driver of social and economic regeneration to the country. It's the fastest growing sector of the economy.
Creativity matters. And art teaches it so that we can maintain the creative skills we all had.
Brilliant!
Bloody brilliant.
Bloody brilliant.
We've run out of our alphabet, like.
We have.
We'll have to go to A2, B2, C2.